along to Premier League Tonight. We're live here until 8:30 this evening, followed by live boxing, including Carl Frampton fighting. What are you laughing at already? The show hasn't even started.
I'm just laughing.
Share the joke with the audience at home.
Just said the big hitters back in the studio.
Here he is, finally. The greatest midfielder of his generation.
Thank you. Let's move on.
Who needs Paul Scholes? What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought United were very good going forward at times. I listened to the guys at half time. I thought Newcastle were disciplined but expansive at times. But I just thought the front three, you know, I live in the Manchester area and everybody's been United fans crying out for Martial, Rashford, Lukaku to start, and they did. And you know, Pogba coming back, Ibrahimovic, you know. They got an aura about them, those type of players. They're Manchester United players. You know, when I played against United and Jermaine, when you stand in that tunnel before the game, you're seeing those type of players. That's what Manchester United is all about. Okay,
United fan, Newcastle fan, football fan, whatever, get in touch with the show. We're here for the next 45 minutes. Use the hashtag PL Tonight to get involved. We spoke beforehand when we were pitch side, and you said, look, tonight is all about the performance for Newcastle. And immediately I was like, what? Isn't it always about the result? Do you still look at that and think, actually, there were reasons to take positive thoughts away from this game, despite getting beaten by 4-1?
No, I do, yeah. Look, it was always going to be a difficult place for Newcastle to come and get a result. I think the previous kind of 6 performances that Newcastle had put in, the ones that stand out, Burnley away, Bournemouth at home, little bit lacklustre, didn't seem like scoring. It felt like to me that they'd kind of gone away and worked on, rather than being organised, which Rafa is very good at, it felt like he was trying to find better ways to score goals. They committed more bodies forward today. In the first half, that's as good a 45-minute display I think Newcastle have put in this season. The goals, if he dissects the goals, he'll be disappointed. That's what Rafa Benitez will do. But once you go 2-1 down, you start chasing it. You know, you're trying to get back into the game, and you are going to get opened up. There's genuine, you know, world-class quality out there, and it showed in the end. OK, well, we can actually hear from Rafa Benitez. I've just been told he's in the tunnel and he's with Des, so let's hear from the Newcastle boss now. Points towards the money thing. I mean, that applies to 3/4 of the teams in the Premier League haven't spent as much as Man United, have they?
Yeah, he's right in some ways, but I think immediately after the game, this excuses a little bit. But yeah, he can take positives, like JJ was saying before, for the first half, the way they played. And I think this is a bit of a gimme, this game here at Old Trafford. You can afford to experiment a little bit. He's not given any chance of winning with this Newcastle team here, so he could maybe play with being a little bit more expansive. I think Rafa's natural way is to defend first and be in a real tight shape, 2 solid blocks, hard to break down. And this was a little bit different to what you normally see from a Rafa team. And as I said, I think here he could experiment, and he probably will go back a little bit to basics against other teams.
And I keep on waiting for like a big win for a big team to say, great, the title race is on. But City just keep on winning. They're just not showing any signs of slowing down, are they? 8 points still between United and City.
It's 10 consecutive wins on the bounce. They are a machine at the moment, and they're doing it in unbelievable style. They're doing it where you're looking at some of their goals, you're looking at some of their approach play from their attacking players as sublime. It's just beautiful to watch, and I'm saying that as someone who's on the red side of Manchester, but it is great to watch. Pep Guardiola's got them playing football that you'd pay to watch.
Record that, City fans, and play it back. Sublime to watch. OK, right, let's talk about the headlines then from today. These are the big headlines after a busy old Premier League day. Painting the town red, brilliant performance from Arsenal. We're going to talk about Arsenal in just a couple of moments, but also Tottenham. Where does today leave Tottenham? Once again, Mauricio Pochettino away at a big side. Failed to get the result for his team. The other big headline from today, Blues bin the baggies. It was a good day for Chelsea, but where does the future lie for Tony Pulis? If you're a West Brom fan and you're watching this now, get involved in the show, get in touch, share your thoughts with the guys, ask them a question. Hashtag PL Tonight is where you start the conversation. We'll talk about Tony Pulis' future in a minute, and cherries on top. Convincing win for them. Callum Wilson with a hat-trick. Brilliant performance from Bournemouth. They've really turned a corner in the last few weeks, so good news for them. But we're going to start, though, by hearing from John and Sophia. They watched the North London derby earlier on in the day, and here's what they made of the game.
Hi, it's John here ahead of the North London derby. It's a massive game for both clubs, probably more for Arsenal because we'll take a 7-point lead if we win today. It's about time we won at the Emirates. We've got the team to do it, but we've got to be wary of their attacking threat as well.
Spurs don't have a great record at the Emirates or Highbury, so I'm hoping for a win. I fear it's going to be a draw and Harry Kane will score.
It's been an awful half from Spurs, one of our worst I can remember. Arsenal fully deserved to be a couple of goals up, although there's been some dreadful refereeing. Danny Rose left out the entire squad, which was a bit of a surprise. It looks like a repeat of the Kyle Walker situation.
We won the derby 2-0. For me, man of the match. I know they gave it to Ozil on the other channel, But for me, it was Mustafi. His first goal, in off the post, amazing. He defended like a rock. That was how we should be defending. Love the game. Love that we stick to them. Let's keep it going, Gooners.
I love that. Nice to see a smile on Sophia's face. This is a tweet from John Cross, who's a journalist for The Mirror. He says here, Mesut Ozil, the World Cup winner and 5-time German Player of the Year, who got into none of the combined North London 11s, goes off to a standing ovation. Well, Mesut Ozil was tweeting, was trending all over Twitter and all the other social media platforms. These were the main mentions about him in the game this morning, all completely positive. With so much negativity around him at the moment, these were the most popular conversations about him. Class act, standing ovation, beautiful, and thank you were the most used phrases specifically on Twitter. I suppose the frustration, though, if you're an Arsenal fan, is go and do that every week. There's a reason why he wasn't in most of the combined 11s.
Yeah, you can't blame people for not including him in that. He's not, I wouldn't say, have been playing at that level on a consistent basis over the last couple of years, really. When Mesut Ozil is on it, he is one of the best and he is world class. I actually felt in the game against England for Germany, in that slightly deeper role, he was brilliant as well. And whether he's kind of gone away with the German team, regained some confidence, we know he's loved a lot in Germany, and he's brought that back for this particular game. Because he was sensational today. He was actually unplayable in the game. They didn't know how to deal with him.
So do it more often.
Yeah, I think, sometimes when you watch him play, for somebody who didn't have an ounce of ability he had, when I see that.
Well said, Robbie, well said.
I'm just on the
no one's disagreeing.
Really, got to be honest. Got to be honest. If somebody who applied myself like I did, tried to get every ounce of ability and work rate, on that football pitch, it frustrates me to watch him because he is a brilliant player, as JJ just said, when he's on it, but he's not on it enough. He's got to be doing this against Manchester United, against Chelsea, against West Brom.
There are different characters, though.
Yeah,
Robert.
I get it.
We came across different characters when we were playing. Not everybody's of that mindset of, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can every week. Some players are like, listen, I'm the man here. You get me the ball, and I'll go and show you what I'm capable of.
If he does that every week, it's fine.
I'm not going to chase around after players.
I think the biggest frustration for the Arsenal fans is the Arsenal team. This ain't about Mesut Ozil, this is about the Arsenal team. The whole team, the way they played to a man today, the pressing, the intensity that they played with. You watch them play 10 games, you'll get that probably 3 or 4 times out of them, and the other 4, 5, 6 times, it's not the same. And at the top level, when the margins are so small between winning and losing, you can't afford to take your foot off the gas. You can't afford mentally not to be in tune for one of the games. Coming here to Old Trafford or to the Etihad against the big teams, you've got to be on it all the time. You can't pick and choose when you want to do it. It's the North London derby. It's not hard to get up for them games. Yeah. Derbies are not hard to get. You get out of bed, you bounce out of bed. You don't slump out of bed. You bounce out ready to go and play a big match against your local rivals. So you want that every week. You want to do that when you're away at Stoke as well. You want that when you're.
Do any of you see that performance and think you will see that from Arsenal away at Stoke?
I don't know what we're going to get next week now. What are you going to get next week with Arsenal? That's the problem.
And they go to Burnley, I think. Is it Burnley away?
Burnley? I'll back Burnley to win that game.
I mean, they've not again.
Well, having just beaten Spurs, you'd now back Burnley to beat.
Burnley are in good form
to beat Arsenal.
And it's a hard place to go. And I don't know what I'm going to get out of Arsenal.
Yeah,
that's what you'd be saying.
That's the problem. That's the problem right there. It's not consistent enough, and you don't know what you're going to get. The beauty of today's game for Arsenal, they've had such bad news over the last kind of 2 years. Every time you go to the Emirates, it's kind of Wenger out or this story. That's fans. Unrest. Today was one of those days where it didn't matter what the last 5 results were. It didn't matter if everybody hated Arsene Wenger. It was about winning the derby. And the support that I heard in that stadium was ridiculous. It was unbelievable, and it obviously transmitted itself onto the pitch to inspire the team today, because they won every battle on the pitch.
They were almost underdogs. That tells you how far Spurs have come. But Spurs, absolutely. Everyone's talking about Spurs, but Spurs haven't won anything. So we're talking about pure potential.
Well, let's talk about Spurs and what Spurs' potential is then. You've got a Spurs team who everyone says are brilliant, and we've done it as well. We've sat in, we've lauded them for some fantastic performances this season. But at the same time, you look at their performances against the top 6 under Maurizio Pochettino, away from home, 17 played, 1 game won. If you're going to win leagues and you're going to win titles, you've got to beat the big teams.
They've got to get the mentality going in this team. Because this will be a problem for them now, because they'll all see these stats. They'll all understand when we go to the big teams, we can't get a win, we can't get over the line. They've got to start getting in their heads, when you go away to big games, especially away to big teams, we don't get beat.
What was Sir Alex
Whether-
Ferguson's approach to those big games away from home?
His
What did he say?
approach, the team's approach was, first and foremost, you don't get beat. You go there and you try and come out there with minimum a draw. And then once the game will take its shape, and then it's about making sure that you're in the game.
That wouldn't be Pep Guardiola's stance, though, would it?
It's different
win the games,
horses
yeah.
for courses.
He wouldn't be thinking, oh, let's not get beat. Each manager has a different mindset, for each
No,
game.
let's not get beat on the front foot though. We're on the front foot. We're not going there and sitting back and saying, "Oh, hopefully we don't get." Just putting our gloves up and not taking and just taking the punches and hoping not to get knocked out. But we were going there saying we'll stay in the game. Minimum we'll get is a draw, but we're going to get a win because we know we've got the quality up front to get chances, and we'll back our strikers to bang in goals.
The disappointing thing is for Spurs fans in those big games that you're talking about, where they have been beaten. I won't say they've easily been beaten, but they haven't looked like winning the games. They haven't, like today, not at any stage did it seem like they were going to score. The game here against Manchester United were far the better side, and it was exactly the same last year. They've kind of just, I don't know whether they come into these games with the wrong mentality, whether they're overly confident. I don't know what it is.
But then they got it so right at home against Real Madrid in the Champions League. That felt almost like a mental turning
But
point.
that game, that Real Madrid, they play Real Madrid in knockout stages. It's a different team they're playing. Same players. A different team it will be, and I'm telling you, it'll be a different result. It's different. Real Madrid that night was a shadow of the team that we know Real Madrid could be. I'm telling you, because that comes to knockout stages, it will be a different team that turn up, a different team that's sharp. Don't take nothing away from that Spurs team and that performance on that day. They've got to get it right in these games. These games here in England, the big games against the top six, they ain't getting it right far too often.
You sound unconvinced by Tottenham.
I just think if you're going to win, you're going to be talked about as being a great team. And I think Pochettino's done a great job. The way he bloods young players, he's done it at Southampton, he's doing it here at Spurs. The England team, the spine almost of that team is becoming Spurs, and that's down to Pochettino. He has to take huge credit for that. But to be talked about as a great team, as a top team, you've got to win trophies. They're not going to get near winning the Premier League.
It's difficult though, Jake, because Tottenham have come so far, and it's actually crazy that we sit here talking about Tottenham winning the league. But we do. We sat here going, well, this team are that good. He's that good a manager. Why can't they win these big games? Because that is what is going to win you the league. Now, with the team that they've got, yes, their best 11 is capable of doing it. But essentially, when you do look at what Manchester City have got and what United have got to an extent as well, the chances are that they're not going to be doing it this year. But in terms of progression, that club, and that team, they're doing the right things. They're playing at half of no Wanyama, Dembele is just about.
But JJ,
Harry Kane's injured.
But you see them players are saying to come back. I still don't think them players get them over the line to win the league. They're great players. I think what they lack compared to a Man City, to a Man United, a Chelsea, what they lack is a player with the X factor. Dele Alli, great player. Harry Kane, great player, going to score you goals. But they haven't got the
Harry Kane's got the X factor.
He's not going to get the ball in the halfway line, take on four players.
He's won the Golden Boot the last 2 years.
That's scored goals.
Like a Gareth Bale.
He's a goal scorer.
Like
I'm talking about X factor, a Hazard, a Sanchez at Arsenal, a Pogba, a Martial, Rashford type player. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that type of player at Spurs at the moment. Someone who can get the ball and draw 2 or 3 players around him because he has that quality. They identify that you say we can't give him space, and all the defenders come out to him, which frees up other players. They haven't got that guy.
So have we given Spurs too much praise in this season? Because we talk about Arsenal being in decline. They've got a point less than Tottenham. Everyone talks about Manchester United playing boring football. I think they've now scored 7 Premier League goals more than Spurs.
And got a better defensive record.
So how good is this Spurs team?
Jose Mourinho gets criticised for beating Spurs 1-0 at home. Gets hammered, yet they're above Spurs in the table. Mourinho plots his way to win games, plots his way to win championships, whether it's with Chelsea, whoever. Yeah, he gets hammered because this is Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Spurs are yet to be that. Simple as that.
We're being too tough on Spurs, do you think?
A little bit. At Manchester United, things are expected, and that's why you get criticised when you don't win things, when you spend £250,000 on transfers. At Spurs, the fact that we're having a conversation about them, even being tied to contenders, shows how far the club's come. I think at times we're right to criticise. At times, that stat there, 1 win in 17 against top clubs, is something that they need to address.
But they're a work in progress. And
if they get that X factor player, just think what that would do for Harry Kane, what that would do for Dele Alli in terms of giving them more space.
Do you see Daniel Levy though going and spending £90 million on a football player?
I don't know.
No.
We'll see.
I don't think so either, no. Okay, agree or disagree? If you're a Spurs fan and you're watching this, I'd love to hear from you. Get in touch right now. Use the hashtag PLTonight while Rio stretches out his problematic knee. Is that causing you an issue there?
No, it's just stretching it out.
You've got to get in the ring soon, man. You can't be struggling sitting down for half an hour.
He'd be lying down when he goes.
Right, stay where you are. A lot of still to come. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Get your 3 match reports on. That's the best line he's come out with in 4 years.
Let's go to the break.
It's not football.
Relax.
Robbie's not been knocked out by Rio. You'll be pleased to know in that break.
We've got time.
Got time.
Hey, seriously,
Still got another half an hour.
fancy me chatting. I battered him in the tunnel. Battered him in the tunnel. Relax.
What did happen in the tunnel?
His heart rate's gone up now. Look, he's
He tried to give it the big and pass me running. Chased him. He needed 4 security men to have a go at me.
So you chased Rio.
Yeah.
No, you didn't
And
chase
you got
me,
security to have a go at Robbie in the
No.
tunnel. What happened then?
Robbie knows. I don't want to do
both
on
know.
TV.
We both know. What's next?
But his face was on the floor.
The fact that Robbie's moving the conversation on is probably a good indicator.
Go for them ones.
Low, that's low. That's low. That is low.
We're back on. Go on, Jake, let's go.
Live boxing follows us at 8:30 this evening. Right, 3 red match reports have been coming in their droves. Sack Pellegrino now. I mean, it sounds like Southampton fans won't change after another defeat today for Southampton. A 3-0 defeat for them. Champions League football. Who does that person support?
Burnley.
Yes, Burnley. Another win for them today. Sean Dyche's side are a point off the top 4. And finally, King Mo Salah. You saw that stat just now, didn't you? 14 goals he's been involved in. No other Premier League player has scored more goals than Mo Salah this season.
Unbelievable.
Liverpool's top scorer as well. Right, let's get back to today's action then. Chelsea against West Brom. Let's hear from Josh and Rory. This is their day.
Alright, so just leaving the ground now. It's 4-0 Chelsea. Awful from Van Albion. Pulis has basically lost the fans and the dressing room. Pulis out chance around the stadium at the end, and it's basically turning the club into a toxic mess. We were awful for 70 minutes, good for the first 20 but awful for the last 70 minutes.
In Eden Hazard we have a player capable of winning a Ballon d'Or very, very soon. It was incredible. However, can't say the same for West Brom. It felt quite poisonous in the stadium. I think they're in trouble. The fans were chanting for Pulis out, and I'm worried as to what this season holds in store for them, but delighted for us.
I bet. What's it like being a West Brom fan, do you think? 2 wins in their last 21 games under Tony Pulis. It's a hard team to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to the fans, they are not happy, obviously, and I think a lot of that is down to the fact they pay their money to go and watch football, they travel, and I think they can understand getting beat, but getting beat within a certain way. They don't feel entertained, they don't ever feel like they're going to win games or score goals, and yeah, I think they just feel like that whole kind of we're mid-table and we should be happy about it. Well, they're not, and they're now making it be heard.
Well, exactly, and they're not mid-table anymore, are they? They are properly in a relegation scrap, and you can see the reason why. They're 17th in the league in terms of goals, 16th in the league in terms of attempts, 19th for passes, and they're bottom of the league in terms of average possession. People talk about Tony Pulis is the right man because he keeps you in the Premier League. If you're winning 2 in 21, you're not staying in the Premier League, so that goes out the window straight away.
But my problem with people calling for Tony Pulis' head is, where do you go from Tony Pulis? When you've got a problem, when you're fighting relegation, where do people normally go? They phone him. They phone Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce. They're the people on repeat dial. So where did West Brom go when they let him go? That's the only question I have.
We were saying that earlier, weren't we? They're almost getting themselves into a position where you need Tony Pulis.
It's the wrong time to be calling for more exciting football. You're not in that type of position now. You need to kind of guarantee a better position in the Premier League and survival before you even start, kind of shouting about better style of football.
But on the other side, the disciplined, organised, defensive football's not winning games either, or they're losing games. So, on radio phones on this show, you have West Brom fans saying, it's dull. As JJ said, I paid my money, I want to be entertained. So I think you can put up with winning games in a dull, boring way. When you're losing games, you're going to pay your money. You're watching. You're losing those games. That's when it becomes difficult for the manager. But I'm not a guy who wants to see any manager sacked. I've never done it. It's a very difficult job, and I think he's done a great job. at West Brom over the course of his time there. He's got the best squad he's ever had, probably at West Brom. You know, I'm not sure what the wage budget is, probably as high as it's ever been. So you would say, when you look at that, they're probably in one of the worst positions they've been for a while. As you say, that's that 2 wins in 21. Not playing such an expansive style of football. So that style he's playing now, they could get relegated by. So what do you do?
Okay. Well, he's being talked about now for the Wales job. He's on the list along with the likes of Ryan Giggs, because, as you know, Chris Coleman quit the Wales job last night. Let's first of all talk about that. Chris Coleman leaving Wales. We believe he's set to take over from Sunderland in the next few days. Sunderland, by the way, who are rock bottom in the Championship. What do you make of the decision?
I think it's probably the right time to leave Wales.
Why?
Because he achieved everything. He will never replicate the Euros. That was an incredible run, you know, to get to the semi-finals, to play the way they did, to beat Belgium, you know, exceed expectations. And then the group, they could have got out of the group. That game against Ireland was a huge blow. You know, they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So now, for me, it's the right time. You know, the question is Sunderland the right job for him? It's probably one of the biggest jobs in that league. No question about that. Villa, you know, there are a few teams like,
but they are in dire straits.
Dire straits. But what does he do? Obviously, if he signed and sealed for Sunderland, you say he's going to take that job. But if he hasn't signed, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but if he's not signed, you're looking at the bottom end of the Premier League. You know, would somebody take a gamble on Chris Coleman because what he done with Wales? Has he got the experience of managing the Premier League?
Well, let's take Swansea as a good example. They're a Welsh team who are struggling. There's a lot of pressure on their manager. Should he have waited for that?
You know, what he can do, he can galvanise the dressing room, because the lads love him, I'm led to believe. You know, I know a lot of lads in the squad, as does JJ and Real. You know, he'll get them together, and I know it's a cliched saying, but they will run through brick walls for him. You know, you ask Aaron Ramsey, you ask Gareth Bale, you ask a superstar in Gareth Bale how much he enjoys going and playing for that man there, and he'll tell you. So he's inexperienced in terms of Premier League manager, but if he was to get a Premier League job, he probably will go to Sunderland. I think he could keep a team up.
A huge part of it is getting players to play for you. I think in managerial terms, you've got to get players who believe in what you're doing, believe in your methods, and want to go out there and perform for you. And if you're going by that, his credentials are there in writing, because this Wales team done that.
And despite everything that's going on tonight, he turned on the Christmas lights in Newport, and he was spoken to actually by a reporter about what's happening. And this is what Polly James put on Twitter. Who does Chris Coleman want as the next Wales manager? His answer: as long as he's a passionate Welshman. Hear, hear, Cookie. She says, thank you, Chris and Pob. So who is a passionate Welshman? What would be the reaction, Robbie, in Wales if Ryan Giggs got the job?
Well, there's a lot of, you know, when you speak about, you know, look at Gareth Bale performances for Wales compared to Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs is a legend, you know, but Gareth Bale's performances in his country were better than Ryan Giggs. Yeah. A lot of people will criticise Ryan Giggs because he didn't turn up for that many friendly internationals, but I think friendly internationals are a waste of time, in my opinion. You know, I think when he's playing for Manchester United, you know, winning trophies, if Wales were playing against
Lithuania or something,
a country, why would he? It's just my opinion, Jake. I think friendly internationals are pointless. That's what I believe, and so I respect Ryan Giggs not playing that.
So despite being a passionate Welshman yourself, you were okay with him missing those games, were you?
Yeah. Jake, because I think international friendlies are pointless. That's just my opinion when I play for my country.
Who would you want to see Welsh manager as a Welshman?
So, you know, when Mark Hughes took the job, he had no international experience. Bobby Good left, Neville Southall and Mark Hughes took temporary charge of one game. Then Mark Hughes got the job, and it was brilliant for Wales. Then he's gone on to have a fantastic Premier League career. So people say, well, could Ryan Giggs do it for the first job? I would say Ryan Giggs, if he wants to do it. I'm not sure if Ryan Giggs wants to do it, but does he want to be a club manager or an international manager? It might suit Ryan Giggs to be an international manager. Who's out there?
If you're going to chuck Ryan Giggs into the mix, you probably could chuck someone like Craig Bellamy into the mix.
Correct. Craig, he's a passionate Welshman. You're looking at John Hartson. I'm not saying John Hartson's a manager. You're looking at passionate Welshmen. So let's go through Dean Saunders. Ryan Giggs is a passionate Welshman. Craig Bellamy's a huge passion, and he knows the game inside out, you know, and he will get the best out of people.
Robert Page, under 21.
Robert Page,
boss.
Yeah, it done well. I'm not sure he's ready for the first team yet. It's just my personal opinion. So you're looking at Dean Saunders.
You haven't mentioned Robbie Savage.
No, I'm not. I don't want to be a manager. I'm such a good pundit. Why would I be a manager?
Know where your skills lie away from the football
correct.
field.
You know, you got to play. You got to do the best of what you got. You know, why would I want to leave being a pundit when I'm, you know, winning awards and stuff? So anyway,
how many awards did you win?
A few. So it's not for me management. It's not for me management.
Finally won something.
You know. So I agree. A passionate Welshman.
Yeah.
You know, John.
Give us a name then. Who would you like to see take on that job?
I think Ryan Giggs. Personally, I'm not sure it suits him. I'm not sure it suits him. If not, why not give it to somebody like, you know, Craig Bellamy with a John Arterson there? Because Mark Hughes.
Does it really need to be a Welshman though?
I think so. You've seen how the Welsh lads responded to Chris Coleman, and that's all that needs to be said. How much they responded to him in those Euros.
Okay, right. Can you give us a name or not?
I think Tony Pulis is a good name, and have somebody like a Bellamy next to him, kind of got the whole package then, I feel.
Rio? Giggs?
I'd give it to Giggsy, yeah. If he wants it, I'd give it to Giggsy.
Okay. Thanks for that, gentlemen. Right, interesting part. Right, we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. It's the final part of this evening's Premier League tonight, and we're going to be talking to these three about how a new manager has shocked them. It should be interesting. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Today, you just want to see that more often from them.
Yeah, when you see Arsenal like that, they're a fantastic team to watch, and you're paid to watch them play. I think Arsene Wenger gets them playing like that every week. They'll be a force to be reckoned with. That's just the problem.
Time to talk about when your new manager has shocked you. The stories from these three are going to be fun. First of all, let's hear from all of you.
David Wagner hasn't stopped surprising us since the day he walked through the door at Huddersfield Town. His appointment was a surprise. I don't think any of us had ever heard of him. Straight away, it turned aside struggling in the Championship into a team that played like Barcelona overnight.
The thing about Wenger's arrival was Patrick Vieira. I remember the game, we were 1-0 down against Sheffield Wednesday, and then he basically came on for Ray Parlour and ran the game. And I thought, if this is the kind of player Arsene's going to bring in, then I'm very excited.
We were already going down when Rafa Benitez came in, and he just lifted the club. We've seen the carry on from Mike Ashley over the years, Steve McLaren, and when he came in, you just seen everybody have hope.
Pep Guardiola, every time you see a City team sheet, he's normally left a little surprise on there for you somewhere. And even for day one, there were surprises from the start. Moving Joe Hart out of the first team, shifting away from the reliance on Vincent Kompany and Yaya Toure, playing six in midfield. I think as City fans, we've come to learn that Guardiola has always got the sense to mix it up at some point.
It's fair to say that most Stoke fans weren't particularly happy when Mark Hughes was appointed, but we had to eat our words as he abandoned the style of play that Tony Pulis left behind and introduced an attacking, free-flowing style that was very appealing on the eye.
Lots of positivity there. Something slightly less positive. Rob Price has just got in touch on Twitter. Pellegrino has shocked me. I don't know another manager who could get Southampton playing even more boring football than the previous manager. Alan Wynne-Jones says Bob Bradley, say no more, and John Helmsley, Ranieri was the biggest shock for us, and the rest is history. Go on, you've played under a number of managers. What stands out when I talk about a manager shocking you?
Yeah, I mean, before I tell the story, can I just say that Juan de Ramos was one of the best managers.
Oh, it's about Juan de Ramos.
Yeah, he was a very good manager, by the way. But what really shocked me was that he banned Lucozades from the training ground and completely changed the whole food regime. I mean, no sauces on pastas, no butters, the rest of it. And so the Lucozade out of the dressing room. So one day we turn up and the fitness coach has essentially, he's got potatoes, pasta, ice and water, put it in a blender and then poured it into a cup. And then laid them all out for the whole team. So we've all come in at half time for a drink, and he's like, "Drink that," and we're saying, "You're having a laugh," you know. And anyway, so
how disgusting was it?
It was vile. I mean, it was the whole team stood there at half time, pinching their noses, pouring it down the throat, and then it tasted that bad that we ended up complaining, and they chucked in a bourbon biscuit to try and make it a bit better. But
did it make it any better?
No, it was still vile.
But he was a good manager.
Well, I actually felt quite fit, to be honest with you, but there's no way I was doing it again. So, but yeah, he was a good manager.
Was it cooked potato? Has to have been.
I don't know, Jake.
Has
it was
to
just
have been
disgusting.
Horrible. Rio, what about you?
Yeah, Capello made a few changes when he was in the England squad. He was I used to have 2 slices of toast every morning, filled up with butter and a cup of tea. And I came down to breakfast in the morning and there was no butter on the table, so I'm going to the chef. Where's the butter? Not allowed. Well, how am I going to have my butter with my toast? What's going on? The manager said no, and I said to him, "What?" He said, he kept saying, "Why do you need butter?" So I ended up having to put olive oil on it and then brush it on and then put a bit of salt on it to have a bit of like the butter that I like. So it was just weird. I was sitting there thinking, what is that going to do for my football? Footballers have little things that they do before every games, most of us, that are like superstitions. That was one of mine. I need my butter on my toast.
I was about to say, it sounds to me like little things bother you, whether it's banning your Lucozade or banning your butter.
It messes with your head,
in the grand scheme of things, it's not that important in life, but it seems that it is those little things that,
yeah, people will think, oh, it's such a little thing, what are you moaning about? No, it's something that's just jogged you off your path that you're on to go and have a good game.
Not having any butter.
And you're thinking, you're going, doing your laces up thinking, I've not had the butter on my toast. And people think you're mental, but you'll be sitting there going crazy, or someone will take your shin pads before a game and messing about, and you've got to wear another pair, and you're going, but they're not the ones I wore last week, 1-3-1.
That definitely.
Oh my God. Well, my luck's gone. We're not going to be able to pass the ball today. The wrong pads. Have you got my pads? Where's my pads?
And I've had no butter on my toast.
Yeah, and that just compounds it. But superstition is a big thing in the game.
What about you, Rob?
Just pre-season, Nigel Clough, he introduced swimming. I'm one of the worst swimmers ever, and we used to go to Loughborough in an Olympic-sized pool, and he used to get a brick. And you know when you do like your life-saving in school, and you have to wear your clothes, you have to get the brick. But we just had our shorts on. He dropped the brick to the bottom. You had to push the brick along the bottom of the water until you get to the end. I was the worst swimmer there, and it used to take me ages and ages.
Do you not think, though, that sometimes these managers, when they arrive at a club, they just want to do something different, just to make an impact?
We used to play cricket. Nigel Clough used to take us to play cricket. If we were struggling, you know, he'd say, right, today, you go out and training, and there'd be a game of cricket, 11v11 cricket. Brilliant, and the lads loved it. Yeah. So you come in, you see the track laid out, you're thinking, we've lost the game, oh, here we go, we're going to be running. The wickets come out. We're having a game of cricket. Boundaries, yeah. Having a game of cricket.
It really is the little things in life, isn't it? And very quickly, wasn't it Moyes that banned chips here at United?
Yeah, that was another one.
How much of that? But if you got angry about the butter, what were you like about the chips?
No, I was fuming. I went straight to the chef and demanded, listen, I want a room service. I'm going round the back to make sure I get my chips. But no, there are things that sometimes managers think are doing the right thing, but sometimes can unsettle players, and that was one of them.
All right, Rio likes his food. I think we've learnt that from this story. Right, lots to tell you about, including BT Sport Score next Saturday from 2:45, as always. That one is ahead of the Liverpool-Chelsea game, a huge game, next Saturday evening from 5 o'clock, followed by Premier League tonight. But right now, right here on BT Sport 1, we're going to start the build-up to Frampton against Garcia from Belfast on BT Sport Fight Night Live with Paul Dempsey. Paul, what's the plan? We were discussing we're going to be on the app in the car all the way home. Are you going to be the same watching the fight?
Pardon?
Are you going to be watching the fight on the app on the way home?
He lives around the corner.
Yeah, I'll be home in 20 minutes, Jake, yeah. But I'll be still watching it. I'll be tuning in on BT Sport. Definitely.
Good lad. If you move to Norwich, you've always got a long journey wherever you need to go.
To be fair, it'd be nice to see, the Frampton win,
Can't wait. Good luck, Carl Frampton, from all of us, and we'll see you next week for more Premier League tonight.
What a performance by the Arsenal today, keeping up their 100% record at home.
We didn't look up for it, we didn't compete well, it was so unlike the team we've become under Pochettino.
What a player Liverpool now have got in Mo Salah, 14 goals already, and that's matched the top scorer for last season.
Unbelievable top bins goal, smashing, we're tearing up each team, and I hope it continues.
Man City broke when Leicester had a good chance to equalise and killed the game off at 2-0, and we're in cruise control from there, and I think we have just seen the Premier League champions.